Deep in the Nevada desert, surrounded by miles of empty wasteland, sits a place that doesn't officially exist. For decades, the United States government denied its very presence on every map and document. Pilots were warned never to fly over it. Travelers who wandered too close vanished from records. They called it many things, but the world knows it by one name: Area 51. And what they finally admitted will change everything you thought you knew. For over 60 years, Area 51 lived only in rumor and whispered conversation. Officials refused to even say the words aloud. Reporters who asked were met with silence or denial. The base appeared on no public records, yet satellite images showed something massive growing in the desert. Hangars, runways longer than any commercial airport. What was so secret that an entire government would pretend it simply wasn't there? The answer took decades to surface. In 2013, something extraordinary happened. After years of relentless requests, the Central Intelligence Agency released a heavily redacted document. Buried within hundreds of pages, 2 words appeared that had never officially been confirmed: Area 51. For the first time in history, the United States acknowledged the base existed, but the admission raised more questions than it answered. Why now? And more importantly, what were they finally preparing the public to accept? The official story begins in 1955, at the height of Cold War paranoia. America needed to spy on the Soviet Union, and they needed a secret place to test impossible aircraft. They chose a dry lake bed called Groom Lake, isolated and invisible. Here, engineers built machines decades ahead of their time. But if this was simply about spy planes, why the obsessive secrecy that continues to this day? Something deeper was buried in that desert. The first project was the U-2 spy plane, flying higher than any aircraft before it. At 70,000 feet, it was nearly invisible. But here's where it gets strange. Commercial pilots and citizens began reporting bizarre lights in the sky, objects moving at impossible speeds. The government secretly used these UFO reports to their advantage, letting people believe in aliens rather than admit they had revolutionary technology. The deception had begun. Throughout the late 50s and 60s, the skies above Nevada lit up with phenomena no one could explain. Strange glowing orbs, triangular craft that defied physics. Witnesses were terrified, certain they had seen something not of this world. The government quietly encouraged the alien theory, knowing it concealed their real secrets. But some researchers began to wonder, what if both stories were true? What if the technology and the visitors were connected in ways too dangerous to reveal? Many trace the mystery back further to 1947 and a crash near Roswell, New Mexico. The military first announced they had recovered a flying disc, then suddenly changed their story to a weather balloon. Witnesses claim they saw debris unlike anything on Earth and bodies that weren't human. Where did this material go? Investigators have long believed the answer leads to one location: a secret facility in the Nevada desert, where the impossible could be studied in total secrecy. In 1989, a man named Bob Lazar walked onto a Las Vegas television station and changed everything. He claimed he had worked at a site near Area 51 called S4. His job? Reverse engineering alien spacecraft powered by an element that didn't exist on the periodic table. He described anti-gravity propulsion and craft of unearthly design. The government denied he ever worked there, but records later surfaced, suggesting Lazar wasn't lying about everything. Lazar spoke of a substance he called Element 115, a stable, super-heavy element that could bend space and time. At the time, scientists dismissed him as a fraud. Such an element was theoretical, impossible to create. Then in 2003, researchers actually synthesized Element 115, now called moscovium. Lazar had described it 15 years before mainstream science confirmed its existence. How could a so-called liar predict an undiscovered element? Approach Area 51 today, and you'll find no fences for miles. Just small orange posts and warning signs threatening deadly force. But watch the horizon. White vehicles appear from nowhere, manned by silent guards known as the Camo Dudes. They monitor everything. They are authorized to use lethal force. People who cross the invisible line have been detained, interrogated, and warned never to speak. What are they protecting so fiercely in a base that supposedly tests old airplanes? In 2019, the internet exploded. A joke event called Storm Area 51 went viral, with millions pledging to rush the base and, in their words, see them aliens. The government responded with chilling seriousness, deploying military forces and issuing stern warnings. Why would a base full of nothing but old aircraft mobilize such a massive response over an internet meme? The reaction itself seemed to confirm what people had suspected all along. Then came the moment no one expected. In 2020, the Pentagon officially released videos of unidentified aerial phenomena recorded by Navy pilots. These objects moved in ways that defied known physics, accelerating instantly, flying without wings or visible propulsion. The government, which had mocked UFO believers for decades, suddenly admitted these objects were real and unexplained. The careful narrative was crumbling. After 70 years of denial, the truth was beginning to leak through the cracks. The most famous footage showed an object pilots called the Tic Tac, white, smooth, and featureless. It descended from 80,000 feet to sea level in seconds, something no human technology could survive. Radar tracked it moving at thousands of miles per hour, with no sonic boom, no exhaust, no explanation. These were trained military aviators, the most credible witnesses imaginable, and the government no longer denied them. The question was no longer if, but what. In 2023, the floodgates opened. A former intelligence officer named David Grush testified under oath before Congress. He claimed the government had operated a secret program for decades, recovering crashed craft of non-human origin. He spoke of biologics, of bodies retrieved from these vehicles. He named the existence of a hidden retrieval program. These were not the ramblings of a conspiracy theorist. This was sworn testimony before the United States government, broadcast for the entire world to witness. Grush's testimony describes something extraordinary, a multi-decade program designed to recover and reverse engineer technology that was not built by human hands. He claimed materials were hidden across contractor facilities, deliberately kept from congressional oversight. When asked where these craft were studied, the implications pointed back to the most secret facilities on Earth. The desert base that once didn't exist suddenly stood at the center of humanity's greatest secret, and officials could no longer simply deny it all. Declassified files, released slowly over the years, paint a disturbing picture. Programs with names like Project Blue Book studied thousands of sightings. Other documents reference recovered materials with properties beyond known science. Metals that remember their shape. Alloys layered atomically thin in ways we cannot replicate. Each release admits a little more. Each admission feels carefully measured, as if someone is slowly preparing humanity for a truth too overwhelming to deliver all at once. Experts now believe we are witnessing a deliberate strategy called gradual disclosure. The government, fearing panic, releases the truth piece by piece over decades. First, admit the base exists, then admit the objects are real, then allow whistleblowers to testify. Each step normalizes the previously unthinkable. If this theory is correct, then everything we are seeing now is part of a carefully orchestrated plan to reveal what they have known and hidden for generations. Yet, for every admission, deeper questions emerge. If non-human craft truly exist, who is flying them? Where do they come from? And why has the government guarded this knowledge so jealously, even from its own elected leaders? Some believe the secrecy protects revolutionary energy technology. Others fear it conceals a presence we are not meant to understand. The base in the desert holds answers, but it surrenders them only on its own terms. What began as whispers has become congressional hearings. What was once dismissed as fantasy now appears in official Pentagon reports. The wall of denial, built over 70 years, is finally collapsing. And standing at the center of it all is Area 51, the place they swore didn't exist, now reluctantly acknowledged as real. Whatever secrets remain inside those guarded hangars, one thing is certain: the official story has changed forever, and there is no going back. So what did they finally admit? That the base is real, that the objects are real, that something has been hidden from us for generations. But these admissions may only be the beginning of a far greater revelation still to come. The desert keeps its deepest secrets, but the silence is breaking. The next time you look up at the night sky, remember, the truth was never out there. It was buried here all along.